Walk into your bathroom right now and look at the toilet paper sitting beside your toilet. It looks harmless, soft, ordinary. Just another cheap household staple you toss into your cart without thinking. But that plain white roll has become one of the clearest examples of how American brands quietly disrespect the people who keep them alive. They shrink the sheets and hope you miss it. They puff up softness until it becomes a plumbing problem. They dress mediocre paper in premium language and charge you more for less. They even sell guilt, turning weak, rough rolls into some fake badge of moral superiority. This is not just about comfort. It is about manipulation hiding in one of the most basic products in your home. Today, I am exposing 5 toilet paper brands you need to skip immediately, and 3 that are actually honest, effective, and still worth your money. Let's tear through the lies. 1. Angel Soft. Back in 2019, if an American family grabbed a pack of Angel Soft 12 mega rolls, they were getting 429 sheets per roll. It felt like what toilet paper in America was supposed to be: simple, familiar, decent quality, and generous enough that you did not have to think about it every few days. Angel Soft built its place in millions of homes on that exact feeling. Not luxury, not premium indulgence, just a dependable household staple that looked like it respected your budget. Today, that same 12 mega roll pack gives you just 320 sheets per roll. That is 3,840 sheets total. More than 1/4 of the product is gone. Angel Soft cut the sheet count by 25.4%. And no, they did not do you the courtesy of making that betrayal feel obvious. They kept the branding familiar. They kept the product sitting in the same aisle wearing the same soft, harmless face. They let the average shopper believe they were still buying the same basic value product their family had trusted for years. They were not. This is the genius of shrinkflation when it gets cynical enough. You do not need to shock the customer with a dramatic price hike if you can quietly hollow out the product instead. You keep the package language soothing. You keep words like mega roll doing the psychological work for you. You let exhausted shoppers scan for brand recognition, not sheet math. And while they are moving fast through Walmart or Target trying to get through another week of rising bills, you slip less paper into the same old promise. That is what makes this uglier than a normal price increase. A normal price increase is honest. It tells the customer right there on the shelf that something costs more now. This strategy hides the damage in plain sight. It turns familiarity into camouflage. And of course, the corporate excuse is predictable. Costs went up. Pulp got more expensive, energy got more expensive, transport got more expensive. Fine. Those pressures were real across the paper industry, but once you understand Angel Soft's position in the market, the move becomes even more insulting. This brand was never selling aspiration. It was selling value. It was selling that the quiet reassurance that regular Americans could still buy a basic necessity without feeling fleeced. The second you start gutting the actual amount of product inside that pack, you are not just adjusting to inflation. You are attacking the very reason people trusted you in the first place. And the consumer damage is bigger than it looks. Families run through rolls faster, shopping cycles get tighter, budgets stretch less. The price tag may not scream at you, but the product disappears from your bathroom cabinet sooner, forcing you back to the store earlier than expected. That is how shrinkflation works on real people. Not in a spreadsheet. In kitchens, closets, and cramped household budgets, in the low-level stress of realizing a value brand no longer gives you breathing room. So should people keep buying Angel Soft? Not if they still think they are buying the Angel Soft of a few years ago. This is not some catastrophic health hazard. It is something colder, a trust hazard. A brand that built its reputation on being a generous everyday staple has shown it is perfectly willing to become smaller, stingier, and more misleading while hoping you are too distracted to notice. And once a toilet paper brand starts disrespecting people on the one thing it was supposed to do, well, the next brand only has to be a little worse to look even more shameless. 2 Charmin Ultra Soft. Angel Soft at least insulted you in a quiet, stingy way. It shrank the product, kept the familiar face on the package, and hoped you were too distracted to notice that more than 1/4 of the paper had disappeared. Charmin Ultra Soft pulls a different trick. It does not take paper away and hide the loss behind value branding. It flatters you first. It sells you a thicker, cushier, more luxurious experience, then quietly leaves your toilet and plumbing to deal with the consequences. That is what makes this brand such a perfect next step down the list. Angel Soft made the product smaller. Charmin Ultra Soft made the product softer than it needed to be, then dressed that excess up as quality. And to understand why that matters, you have to understand what Charmin means in America. This is not some off-brand bargain paper sitting forgotten on the bottom shelf. Charmin is one of the most recognizable toilet paper names in the country. It has spent decades teaching Americans to associate the brand with comfort, softness, and a cleaner, better bathroom experience. Charmin Ultra Soft is the most exaggerated version of that promise. It is designed to feel plush, rich, almost indulgent. The kind of toilet paper that tries to convince you that you are treating yourself every time you tear off a few squares. That softness is not an accident, it is the product. And that is exactly where the problem begins. Because once you stop looking at Charmin Ultra Soft as a comfort item and start looking at it as a material that has to break down after you flush it, the whole thing gets uglier. Multiple product tests and consumer guidance pieces have pointed to the same uncomfortable truth: thicker, plusher toilet paper tends to break down more slowly. Even reviews that praise Charmin Ultra Soft for being among the softest options on the market still warn that it is not the best choice for septic systems or sensitive plumbing. That is the catch hidden under all that cushion. The very trait that makes it feel premium in your hand is the same trait that makes it less friendly once it disappears into the pipes. And this is where the marketing becomes shameless. Charmin is not just selling toilet paper, it is selling emotional relief. A tiny flash of comfort in a tiring, expensive, frustrating life. It knows people hear Ultra Soft and think upgraded, safer, better, more caring. But toilets do not care about branding language. Pipes do not care how luxurious something feels on your skin. Once that paper gets flushed, the question changes completely. It is no longer about softness. It is about whether that wad of thick plush material is going to break apart fast enough to move cleanly through the system you paid thousands of dollars to maintain. For some households, maybe it does. If the plumbing is newer, stronger, forgiving enough, maybe the risk never turns into a real problem. But for older homes, touchy toilets, septic tanks, or families who naturally use a lot of paper, Charmin Ultra Soft starts to look less like an upgrade and more like a beautifully packaged nuisance. Not a disaster every single time, just a slow, expensive gamble disguised as comfort. That is why this brand belongs on a list like this. Not because it is poisonous, not because it needs a dramatic recall headline, but because it represents a very American kind of consumer trap, a household staple inflated into a luxury experience then stripped of the one practical quality that should matter most after you flush. Charmin Ultra Soft does not just ask you to pay for softness, it asks your plumbing to pay for it too. And once a brand gets that comfortable selling you a problem as a premium feature, the next one gets even harder to excuse. 3 Quilted Northern Ultra Plush. You do not need a luxury product in your bathroom, but Quilted Northern Ultra Plush tries to sell toilet paper as if it were some kind of lifestyle upgrade. 3 layers, cushiony, plush. Ultimate softness. It sounds more like an ad for hotel bedding than something you are going to crumple up and flush a few seconds later. That is the trick with this brand. It takes one of the most ordinary household staples in America and wraps it in the language of indulgence so you stop paying attention to the math underneath. And the math is getting uglier. In its 18 mega rolls pack, Quilted Northern Ultra Plush dropped from 308 sheets per roll to 255. That is a 17.2% reduction in the amount of paper people are actually bringing home. But the more insulting part is what happened to the real value. The price per 100 sheets rose 29.1%, climbing from 31 cents to 41 cents. So you are getting less toilet paper while paying more for each usable portion of it. That is not comfort. That is a hollowed-out product wrapped in velvet language. This is what makes Quilted Northern Ultra Plush different from the brands before it. Angel Soft was a value brand that quietly shrank and hoped people would not notice. Charmin Ultra Soft leaned hard into excessive softness and turned comfort into a potential plumbing trade-off. Quilted Northern Ultra Plush takes a different route. It makes you feel like you are buying something elevated, something more refined, something worth the extra money. And that emotional framing makes it easier for people to ignore what is actually happening right in front of them. Because once a brand floods your head with phrases like plush cushiony, 3 times thicker, and 3 times more absorbent, it is no longer trying to help you compare value clearly. It is trying to distract you with texture. It wants you focused on how the paper feels in your hand, not how fast the rolls disappear from your bathroom cabinet. It wants you thinking about softness, not sheet count, about comfort, not cost per use. And that is what makes this brand so irritating from a consumer investigation angle. It is not selling danger, it is selling comfort. There is no dramatic recall headline here, no shocking contamination story. Just a very polished, very familiar household product that has learned how to hide shrinking value behind premium-sounding language. That kind of manipulation is quieter, but it is not harmless. It slowly trains consumers to accept worse and worse value as long as the packaging keeps making them feel classy. So should you keep buying Quilted Northern Ultra Plush? Not unless you are fully aware that you are paying extra for the illusion of an upgrade. If you truly love thick, ultra-soft toilet paper and do not mind the math, fine. But from a consumer standpoint, this brand is getting harder to defend. It is no longer offering a clean, honest premium. It is offering a premium story with a weaker and weaker value equation underneath. And once a toilet paper brand starts making its money by flattering your senses instead of treating your wallet fairly, it has already drifted away from what a basic household necessity is supposed to be. For Scott 100, most toilet paper brands try to seduce you with comfort. Scott 1000 does the opposite. It walks into your bathroom with all the warmth of a paper receipt and calls that honesty. No plush language, no faux luxury. Just 1-ply, 1,000 sheets per roll, and a blunt promise that it will last longer and dissolve faster. On paper, that sounds almost noble. In real life, it feels like one of the grimmest consumer compromises in the aisle. That is what makes Scott 1000 such a different kind of problem. This brand does not trick you by pretending to be premium. It wins by making deprivation look practical. It tells families, older homeowners, septic tank users, and budget-conscious shoppers that they are being smart. They are not buying softness. They are buying durability, fewer roll changes, and fewer clogs. Scott leans hard into that story, advertising 1,000 sheets per roll, America's long-lasting value brand, and faster dissolution for septic systems and low-flow toilets. And to be fair, that part of the pitch is not fake. Independent testing has indeed praised Scott 1000 for septic concerns and easy breakdown, calling it a top choice for people worried about flushability. That is exactly why this brand is harder to expose than the others. It is not failing at its main engineering goal. It dissolves. It lasts. It moves through the plumbing better than many thick, fluffy rivals. But that does not make it a good product. It just makes it a brutally efficient one. Because once you strip away the plumbing advantage, what is left is a toilet paper experience that many people buy only because they have convinced themselves comfort is a luxury they should stop expecting. Scott's own product copy describes it as having a basic no-frills feel and being not soft like thicker brands. That is corporate language for yes, it is thin, yes, it is rougher, yes, this is the trade-off. So the consumer trap here is psychological. Scott 1000 trains people to confuse endurance with value. It makes a very long roll feel like a very good deal, even if the day-to-day experience is dry, thin, and joyless. You are not being pampered. You are not even being treated well. You are being told to lower your standards because the roll lasts longer. That may work in an office bathroom. It is a much sadder proposition in a home. So should you keep buying Scott? 1,000 only if your plumbing situation genuinely demands it. If you have a sensitive septic system, an older toilet, or a setup where rapid breakdown matters more than comfort, there is a real case for it. But for the average household, Scott 1000 feels less like smart frugality and more like a stripped-down surrender. It is the brand that asks you to normalize discomfort in the name of practicality. And once a household staple starts teaching people that basic comfort is optional, that is not value anymore. That is just austerity in a plastic wrapper. 5 seventh generations. This brand does not bait you with plush comfort fake luxury or gentle skincare language. It plays a cleaner game. It sells conscience, recycled paper, no added dyes, no fragrances, chlorine-free processing. It wants to be the toilet paper that lets you feel morally upgraded while doing one of the most boring chores in your house. That is a powerful pitch in America because once a household staple puts on an environmental halo, a lot of people stop asking. The harder question is the actual product, any good, and that is where the shine starts to wear off. 7th generation's own product page leans on sustainability first. 80% post-consumer recycled fiber. No added dyes, inks, or fragrances, and paper whitened without chlorine-based chemicals. That all sounds responsible, but even the broader testing landscape shows the trade-off never fully disappears. Good Housekeeping says its recycled option performed well among sustainable brands, yet still notes it was not as strong as other options. Older Consumer Reports coverage landed in a similar place, decent, if living green is a priority, but not exactly the throne room champion. That is the problem brand story here. 7th generation is not really selling toilet paper as a superior bathroom experience. It is selling the emotional relief of feeling like a better person while tolerating a weaker product. And once that mindset sets in, mediocrity gets mistaken for virtue. Even the customer feedback orbiting the product points in that direction. On 7th generation's own site and major retailers, reviewers complain that the paper feels thin rough or smaller than before. One Target review says the redesign made it rough, irritating, and terribly painful to use, while the brand's own product page surfaces a complaint, calling it incredibly thin and very rough. Those are not fringe insults. They are exactly what happens when a brand asks buyers to accept performance compromises because the value story sounds noble enough. And that is what makes 7th generation such a useful final entry on this list. It represents a different kind of consumer disappointment. Not deception through luxury. Not deception through shrinkflation. Deception through virtue. A product that gets extra grace because it looks ethically cleaner even when the day-to-day experience is still underwhelming. So should you keep buying it if sustainability is your absolute top priority and you are willing to compromise maybe? But if you are looking for a toilet paper brand that respects both your principles and your actual comfort, 7th generation starts to feel less like a smart upgrade and more like a moral tax you keep paying in your own bathroom. And once a brand starts charging you with discomfort for the privilege of feeling responsible, that is not real value anymore. That is guilt marketing in a paper wrapper. After all 5, the pattern is hard to ignore. Some brands shrink the value, some sell softness as a plumbing gamble, some wrap mediocrity in luxury language, and some even turn guilt into a marketing tool. But not every roll on the shelf deserves suspicion. A few brands still do the boring thing well, clean materials, honest performance, and fewer hidden trade-offs. So now let's move to the rare ones worth buying. 6 great value, soft and strong premium toilet paper. By the time most Americans reach the toilet paper aisle, they have already been lied to enough. One brand shrinks the sheets and hopes you will not notice. Another bloats the roll with plush marketing and leaves your plumbing to sort out the mess. Another wraps mediocre value in soft, expensive language and calls it premium. That is why great value, soft, and strong premium toilet paper feels almost strange. It does not need to seduce you, it just does the boring job properly. And in this aisle that already makes it rare, good toilet paper should not feel like a psychological operation. It should not ask you to decode fake luxury terms, inflated roll names, or moral branding fog. It should be soft enough, strong enough, affordable enough, and engineered well enough that you can buy it without feeling manipulated. That is exactly where great value starts to look better than it has any right to. Good Housekeeping named it the best value option and said it delivered good bang for your buck. More importantly, it earned a perfect score for dissolving quickly, which matters because toilet paper should disappear cleanly after you use it, not linger in your pipes like an overpriced regret. Even better, the same testing found that this Walmart brand actually outperformed some more expensive toilet papers in a blind softness comparison. That is the part a lot of the flashy brands do not want you thinking about. Sometimes the quiet store brand role is not merely cheaper. Sometimes it is simply better at being toilet paper. And the numbers stay grounded. Walmart lists it at 380 sheets per 2-ply mega roll, with the product described as safe for standard septic systems. That may not sound glamorous, but that is the point. This brand is not trying to turn a bathroom staple into a lifestyle upgrade. It is not whispering about plush indulgence. It is not pretending your paper choices say something profound about your identity. It is just giving you a roll that handles the basics without building a maze of trade-offs around it. That honesty matters more than most people realize. A good household staple should make your life quieter, not more confusing. Great value works because it refuses the drama. It gives you softness without absurd pricing, usable strength, without turning the roll into a plumbing gamble, and real everyday function without coating the whole thing in fake prestige. So yes, this is one of the rare toilet paper brands actually worth buying. Not because it is exciting, because it is not. It respects the oldest rule in the category. If you are selling an ordinary necessity, do the ordinary thing well, charge fairly, and get out of the consumer's way. And once you see how rare that has become, the next good brand has an even harder job. It has to prove that softness can still exist without stupidity attached to it. 7 Berkley Jensen Ultra Soft Bath Tissue. Softness was never the crime. The crime was what toilet paper brands did with it. They took a perfectly reasonable consumer desire and stretched it into something bloated, theatrical, and stupid. They taught shoppers to equate thicker with better, plushier with safer, and more luxurious with more worth buying. Then they quietly let the consequences land where consumers would not see them at first in faster roll, lost worse value, and in some cases a product that becomes too overbuilt for its own good once it hits the plumbing. That is why Berkley Jensen Ultra Soft Bath Tissue matters so much on a list like this. It is proof that softness itself was never the issue. Greed was. Good Housekeeping named it the best overall toilet paper, and the reasons are revealing. It earned a perfect score for absorbency, scored highly for softness, and still managed to avoid 2 of the most annoying failures that show up in weaker products pilling and ply separation. In other words, it does not just feel pleasant for a few seconds. It actually holds itself together like a competent product should. And then comes the detail that really exposes the whole category. Despite being a relatively soft and comfortable tissue, it's still dissolved within seconds, which is exactly why it was described as a safe option for septic systems. That should make a lot of the big-name brands look embarrassing. Because once a product like this exists, the excuses start falling apart. The industry can no longer hide behind the idea that consumers must choose between comfort and function. They do not. They only have to choose between brands that respect that balance and brands that exploit softness as a marketing weapon. Berkley Jensen shows that it is completely possible to make toilet paper that feels good, works, well absorbs, properly stays intact while in use, and still breaks down fast enough to avoid turning your plumbing into collateral damage. That is what makes this brand feel so satisfying from a consumer investigation angle. It does not need to seduce you with fake luxury language. It does not need to act like wiping yourself is some premium lifestyle experience. It simply solves the problem with discipline. It gives you comfort, but keeps that comfort under control. It gives you performance, but does not weaponize that performance against your toilet. So yes, this is one of the rare brands actually worth buying, not because it reinvents toilet paper, because it exposes how unnecessary the industry's nonsense has been all along. Berkley Jensen does something deceptively simple. It proves that a soft toilet paper does not have to be inflated, wasteful, or technically sloppy. And once you realize that the final good brand has a different challenge altogether, it has to prove that sustainability does not have to feel like punishment. 8. Who gives a crap? Sustainability should not feel like a punishment. But that is exactly the trap a lot of eco-friendly toilet paper brands fall into. They act as if the moment a product is made from recycled or alternative fibers, consumers are supposed to lower their standards, accept a rougher experience, and call that responsibility. The sales pitch becomes moral before it becomes practical. You are not just buying toilet paper anymore. You are buying the right to feel like a better person while tolerating a weaker role. That is why Who Gives a Crap bamboo toilet paper matters so much here. It refuses that tired little bargain. The smartest thing about this brand is not that it talks about sustainability. Plenty of brands do that. The important part is that it does not treat sustainability like an excuse for mediocrity. Good Housekeeping found that its bamboo toilet paper felt softer than many other sustainable options they had tested, and also reported that it dissolved more easily than many toilet papers in lab testing. That matters because it attacks one of the ugliest habits in this category brands, hiding a bad user experience behind a good moral story. And the material choices stay disciplined. The brand says its bamboo toilet paper is made from 100% bamboo and contains no inks, dyes, or scents. That makes it especially useful as a counterpoint to all the unnecessary nonsense other brands keep trying to add into the category. No fake luxury language, no lotion gimmicks, no fragrance pretending to be care. Just a cleaner material story with fewer opportunities to turn a basic necessity into another over-engineered consumer mess. That is what makes this brand so satisfying from a consumer investigation angle. It exposes how lazy a lot of the competition has become. Too many companies want applause just for sounding green. Too many expect the consumer to do the emotional labor for them to accept thinness, roughness, or disappointment as the noble price of making a better choice. Who Gives a Crap bamboo pushes back against that whole attitude. It proves that if a company is serious, it can make a toilet paper that is more sustainable without making your bathroom routine feel like some grim little act of sacrifice. So yes, this is one of the rare good brands actually worth buying, not because it turns toilet paper into a personality trait, because it does something much more impressive than that. It shows that responsibility and performance do not have to be enemies. You do not need to choose between caring about what a product is made of and caring about how well it works. And after everything else in this aisle has tried to make you pick one lie or another, that kind of grown-up competence feels almost radical. What this aisle really exposes is not just bad toilet paper. It is a market full of manipulation where brands shrink value, overbuild softness, sell discomfort as practicality, or hide mediocrity behind guilt and luxury language. The good brands prove something simple. Toilet paper does not need to be clever. It needs to be honest. So before you throw another pack into your cart on autopilot, stop and look closer. And if this breakdown helped you shop smarter, subscribe, because there are a lot more everyday essentials in America hiding the exact same scam.